Good evening, everybody. My name is Colin Hyland, and I'm Head of Sales at Gill Education. On behalf of everybody here at Gill, we'd like to thank you all so much for taking the time out of your busy lives to join us for this session this evening. Tonight's webinar, Unpacking Over the Moon, will be presented by David O'Dwyer. David O'Dwyer is our Resources Development Manager here at Gill, and he's also our in-house Over the Moon specialist. I'm just going to give you a quick run through of the running order for tonight's session. David's presentation will last about 35 minutes, and it'll be followed by a quick Q&A. David will be joined for the Q&A by one of our authors for Over the Moon, Maureen Hoey. Many of you may know Maureen. Maureen's joining us from Sligo. She teaches in Sligo, but she's also been very ever present with the JCT doing presenting courses on the value of teaching with picture books. So we're delighted to have Maureen. Maureen, as I say, will join us for the Q&A afterwards. If you'd like to submit questions for the Q&A, you can do so by using the question tab at the right-hand side of your screen. You can do that throughout David's presentation. And what we will try and do is I'll amalgamate those questions over the course of the presentation, and we'll try to get through as many of them as possible within the time frame without dragging it on too long. But don't worry, if we don't get to your question, we will make sure that our reps answer those questions for you. So no question will be left unanswered for you. As I say, we'll try to get through as many of those. So those of you, there's an added incentive to stay with us for the Q&A, because 5 lucky winners will be picked if you stay to the end of the program, for lovely spot prizes. So stay tuned for us, with us there. And without further delay, I'm going to hand you over to David.
Thanks very much, Colin, and welcome along, everybody. Thanks for joining us this evening. So as Colin said, my presentation will take about 30 to 35 minutes. I'm just thinking of my PowerPoint. There we go. Sorry, it was a bit slow to move on there for me. So we'll crack on with it straight away. So Over the Moon, as I'm sure you're all aware, is Gill Education's fully integrated English language program that is completely aligned with the revised primary language curriculum. So we held off for an extra year before bringing out Over the Moon, so that we were fully in line with all of the revisions that were made at the end of 2018. So there are some key documents that informed the development of the program. First is obviously the revised primary language curriculum. Then we have our Aistear. So we have a huge amount of Aistear planning and resources for you for the infants. We have the PDST document there on the 5 components of effective oral language communication. We also have the PDST's recommended approach for covering the writing genre. Then we also have Mary Roach's book. Some of you may not be familiar with this, but it's Mary Roach's book on developing critical thinking skills in children through the use of picture books. This was one of the key informants of the new curriculum. So as we go through the presentation, you'll see exactly how we've tied all that in. And we also have the PDST document on the oral language text types for the senior end of primary school. So why is Over the Moon the best choice for you and your school? Well, as I said, it's the most up-to-date program available. We tick all the boxes of the revised curriculum. It's the only scheme on the market that's fully integrated across the 3 strands of reading, writing, and oral language, all the way from junior infants to 6th. We have a phenomenal free digital library. We'll go into more detail on that later on. Our oral language follows all of the PDST guidelines. We take the 7-step approach as recommended by PDST for the writing genres, and that's obviously borrowed from First Steps into Writing. We have monthly thematic Aistear plans for the junior and senior infants. We've dual Irish language themes running through the entire program. Our comprehension strategies, we've adopted our comprehension strategies, or we've taken them from Building Bridges of Understanding. So we use our before, during, and after reading strategies there. We develop critical thinking skills and encourage book talk through the use of picture books. And every class level that adopts Over the Moon will get a free set of picture books. We're the only program on the market that has full literacy station planning as well for you, all the way from infants to 6th class. And we're fully mapped and fully aligned with the language curriculum, with all of your planning and assessment included. So just go through kind of the various components. So obviously you have your skills book for each class level from infants to 6th. And in here you have work pertaining to oral language. You have pages on comprehension, the writing genres, the oral genres. You have phonics and grammar, phonics all the way up to 6th class as well. And you have pages in there relating to the picture books. Then for the infants, we have 2 recommended readers for junior and senior infants per month, and these are paired fiction and non-fiction books. As part of these, you've got 4 pre-readers for junior infants, so bring you from September to December. So you've got 4 pre-readers there as well. Just as the children are learning their initial sounds, we have the pre-readers for them there. And all of our readers are fully decodable, and we're fully mapped to Jolly Phonics. So the children will learn the sounds in the same order that they will through Jolly Phonics. So you're starting off with your SAT, IPN, and building it into your blends and digraphs from there. So, and then all of your sight words, your tricky words, they're all taught a month in advance. So when the children do come to the next month's book, they'll have that language, and it just assists them in developing their fluency. And we also have one free genre ebook, which is on gilexplore.ie. And this is your main teaching book online, and that really assists with your shared reading. So you have one of those per month as well. Then for first and second class, we have fiction and non-fiction texts, and these are all genre-based as well. And from third to sixth, then you have genre-based extracts that include modern as well as well-known and well-loved pieces of literature. And some of the award-winning modern literature that we have in there, you have the likes of I Am Malala, Bud Not Buddy, some really, really gorgeous pieces that the authors have put in there, phenomenal pieces, as well as your well-known and well-loved authors of C.S. Lewis, Charles Dickens, David Walliams, and so on. So for the picture books, as I said, we have a free class set of beautifully curated picture books for each class level. There's 9 each for junior and senior infants, and 10 each then from first to sixth class. These are all written by internationally renowned children's authors, the likes of Julia Donaldson, Neil Gaiman, and so on. And what they do is they help introduce the comprehension strategy for each month, and they also match the theme that you're covering that month. And they're fully linked. They develop critical thinking skills, encourage book talk, and in your teacher's handbook, they're broken down page by page in your lesson planning, so you know exactly what to do, how to model, exactly how to teach through the use of picture books. Then for our digital library, from infants to second class, we have our interactive oral language posters, and they have games and activities. And then from third to sixth, we have our oral language spoken text type videos and lessons. And all these, so there's various different types of videos that we have here. Some are real life videos, we have some animations, we have some PowerPoints, but they're all narrated by children of that age group. So your third class videos are going to feature 9-year-olds, fourth class 10-year-olds, and so on, so on. So it's nice peer-to-peer learning. Then for junior and senior infants, we have our, as I mentioned earlier, the online genre stories, interactive poems and rhymes. You have ebook versions of all the readers, and some of those have audio. And all your planning material, and I'll go into this in more detail later on, is fully editable. As well as that, then you've got hundreds of printables, including all of your Aistear resources, literacy station teaching materials, you've got differentiated worksheets, we'll go into that in more detail as well, all of your assessment and support materials, all fully linked to the new language curriculum. Now, another unique feature for Over the Moon is my literacy portfolio. This comes from third to sixth class, and it comes free, shrink wrapped with your skills book. This is a lovely little booklet. It's an A4 booklet that helps promote self-reflective learning for the children. It's a brilliant homeschool link as well, because it shows each child's progression as they go through the full school year. It encourages goal setting for the children as well. And then some keywords that the inspectors particularly are very keen on at the moment. It promotes digital and emotional literacy as well. So they're a lovely little addition, and I said they're free with skills books from third to sixth class. Now, we also have an optional pupil assessment booklets. Now, all of your assessment is available free online on gilexplore.ie, so you can print it off and photocopy, what have you. But as a nice cost-effective way to save the cost of photocopying, because it is very costly, as I'm sure you'll all know, we've put together these pupil assessment booklets from third to sixth class. They're €2.50 each, and they cover your autumn, winter, spring, and summer tests. So your Halloween, Christmas, Easter, and summer tests are fully included in these pupil assessment booklets. They're an optional extra, but they're a nice cost-effective way to keep all of your assessment in one place as well. So even from a classroom management point of view, they're a nice little addition. Then we have our teachers planning and resource book, and I'll go into more detail on this in a few minutes. But what we have in here, we have detailed menu style lesson plans, and they're fully integrated across both print and digital. All your monthly and fortnightly planning and your yearly plans are fully included for you there as well. And you've also got lessons for oral language, your genre, phonics, comprehension, vocab, critical thinking, you name it. There's a huge amount in these, but we'll go through them in more detail, as well as your Aistear plans and your literacy station plans as well. Then just showing how the skills book, how everything kind of ties in with the skills books. For the oral language posters, from infants to second class, all your language for play is modelled. We've got language games that meet all the target learning outcomes, and we'll discuss the learning outcomes because it's a key feature of the programme in a little while. Everything is linked in thematically. We have critical thinking questions in the oral language posters. You have literal and inferential comprehension questions. You've got a story mode or an explore mode, and you've got fully interactive dialogues. And again, in the skills book, you're going to have at least one page of activities, of material that link in with your oral language posters. So again, showing how the whole program is fully integrated. And similarly, from 3rd to 6th, with the oral language spoken text type videos, you've got work there back in the skills book relating to what you've seen in each of those videos. We'll go into those in more detail towards the end of the presentation. Then also the picture books, as we say, we send you out a free set of those, and there's work in the skills book relating to each of those. One of our authors, Lorraine Lawrence, I'm not sure if Lorraine is on the call with us today or not. Lorraine was part of the team that developed Building Bridges of Understanding, so all of our comprehension strategies are taken from that. As I mentioned at the top, we've Mary Roach's book there, which is a key informant on the new curriculum, but also Maureen Hoey, who is on the call with us and will be here at the end for the questions and answers session. Maureen works closely with PDST, as Colin said at the start, developing training courses through the use of picture books, and she's written her own book here on developing critical readers in the classroom. So there's a wealth of experience and a wealth of knowledge, a power of knowledge here going into these really carefully chosen, gorgeous, beautiful picture books, and everything linking back in, as I said, to the skills book there. And as I said earlier on, they target the comprehension strategy, develop critical thinking skills, and they encourage book talk in the children. Then into your reading genre, for junior and senior infants, we have your recommended fiction and non-fiction book per month, and also your free genre story ebook, which is available on Gill Explore, one of those per month as well. First and second class, you have your genre-based texts, and from 3rd to 6th class, you have your genre-driven extracts from new and well-known literature. And then for the oral and writing genres, we have the recommended PDST 7-step approach, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. So going from familiarization with the genre into analyzing the text, then into modeled, shared, and guided writing, then allowing the children to have time for their independent writing, and finally their presentation. We just have a couple of examples here about your oral and written genre from some of the skills books. Again, how everything ties in. The skills book ties the whole program together. So you have on the left there your oral recount, and on the right you have your guided writing piece, and then a picture then from the 3rd class skills book, similarly, and it's following the same format, going through the whole scheme, again showing the nice continuity that we have going through the entire program. Then onto the genre texts from 3rd to 6th class. I'm just going to spend a little bit of time on these couple of pages here. So we'll see if hopefully you'll all be able to see my cursor on the screen there. So I'm just going to start over on the left here because we'll link in with the oral language text type videos in a little while, which just shows how the whole program is properly fully integrated across the 3 strands. So you'll see at the top left here, we have a persuasive text. We have the theme that we're covering for this month, which is farming. And we have Lainey's intro. Now, you may not be able to read this at home. It may be quite small for you, but it's introduced with, I'm just going to read out the first sentence. Díomh Cordia, Cadain Tanvi's Farliv. What's your favorite animal? Mine is a horse. So we're bringing in a dual language. After all, it is the language curriculum with Irish and English to be taught hand in hand. Now, there's a few key aspects. As I said at the very, very start, that we're the only program that's fully aligned with the revised curriculum. You'll see at the bottom of this page, in this magenta box down here, you have transfer of skills. So with the revisions that were made, they introduced a couple of new learning outcomes as well. So this transfer of skills is the brand new learning outcome 4 for readings, which highlights key vocab on the page and shows it translated and how it should be spoken in various other languages. This brand new learning outcome 4, we're the only program on the market that has that. As you go on to the excerpt, the excerpt's from Charlotte's Web. You may be able to see some of the words in bold there, so they're your key vocab, and hopefully you'll be able to see some of the bits that are underlined, the phraseology there that's underlined in red, and they're all your all of your idioms, all of your phrases, popular phrases, what have you. All the idioms are there for you underlined in red. And as you get to the end of each unit, we'll go back to the left here. You've got the character's response to the piece that you've just read. And again, at the bottom of this page, the author's intent, another one of the brand new learning outcomes that just came out in 2018. It's learning outcome 8 this time, which is the author's intent. So again, we're the only scheme that have these brand new learning outcomes there on the page for you. And everything links in again. So we have our own laney here. So it was a persuasive text, and now we're going into our oral language text type, which is a debate. And when I go through the digital resources, we'll have a little listen to Lainey and what she has to say, linking everything back into Charlotte's Web. So onto phonics and sight words. As I said, for junior and senior infants, all the phonics are taught a month in advance. We've got printable literacy station games. We've online interactive phonics games for practice and consolidation. Again, you have your skills book. Everything's linking back into the skills book. You've got activities there. There's flashcards available as well. And we're the only program on the market that is fully linked to Jolly Phonics. So that's, again, 99% of our schools are using Jolly Phonics. So we felt, well, why wouldn't we try and align ourselves with those? And we have done. For 1st to 6th class then, again, your phonics are linked into Jolly Phonics. You have your printable literacy station games. There's online phonics and grammar games. And then you've termly phonics and grammar assessment. And you've got dictation sentences in your teacher's handbooks for the children to complete. Again, back into the skills book, dealing with comprehension this time. So taken from Building Bridges, you have your before, during, and after reading comprehension strategies. And I'll just draw your attention. You might be able to, where's my cursor? Here we go. You'll see at the top right of each of the pages, we have our WALT section. So the children will know on every single page what they're going to attempt to do, what they're learning to do on that page. At the bottom of each page then as well, you have your strand, the element, and the learning outcomes that you're covering, just as a nice reference guide for yourselves to make sure that you're keeping on track. Onto poetry then. Poetry for the infant classes. You have a digital poster, you'll have the digital game, and you'll have printables there as well, which can be sent home just as a bit of extra homework should you need it. From 1st to 6th class, then for each month, you have your poem in the book, also in your ebook of the reader, and they're all supported by poetry lesson plans in your teacher's handbooks. Now, another unique feature to Over the Moon is our free writing activities. So you'll see throughout each unit from 1st to 6th class, you'll have this crescent moon. Hopefully you'll be able to see it down here at the bottom right of the screen. This little crescent moon with FW written on it. And inside the back of the skills book, you have this free writing tree, which we have on the left here. So every time you see the free writing icon, you can direct the children to the back of their skills book and ask them to choose a topic to write about. Because as I'm sure most of you will know, the PDST recommend that children engage in free writing for 10 minutes at a time, 3 times a week. So here we have it again, it's all there for you in the skills book. It's a unique feature for Over the Moon. As well as that, in terms of our unique features, we have our drop everything and read time, so our DEAR time. And this is from 3rd to 6th class. You'll have, in each unit, you'll have at least one icon with a child with the book in front of them, and that'll direct them to drop everything and read and spend a few minutes doing that. You also have all of your ideas for cross-curricular links and interdisciplinary literacy. So everything there for that topic and how it can link in with your Gaeilge, with your maths, SPHE, SESE, and so on. So the whole program all the way through is fully linked cross-curricular for you. Then onto the teachers' planning and resource books, the Bibles of the program. So in here, you have fully comprehensive lesson planning and resources. And I'm just going to pause here and spend a little bit of time talking about this because this is key to Over the Moon. So when the curriculum was revised at the end of 2018, one of the reasons, as I'm sure you're all aware, was that when it was rolled out initially, there was no guidance given on how to approach all of the learning outcomes. How many should you tackle at a time? Into what depth should you go with each of them? There was very, very little guidance given there. So when the revisions came at the end of 2018, the PDST announced that schools should focus on 2 learning outcomes per strand per fortnight. That's all we've done with Over the Moon. That's what we've given you. It's just 2 learning outcomes for oral language, 2 for reading, 2 for writing per strand, per fortnight. That's all you need to do. By doing that in a really focused and targeted way, you'll cover all of the learning outcomes at least 3 times over the course of the year. So we're not giving you a menu of 10, 12, or 15 different learning outcomes and letting you go off and choose whichever ones you want to focus on. There's just 2 of them per strand per fortnight. This should save you so much time in your planning and streamline everything for you, hopefully making your lives a hell of a lot easier. And all of the plans that we've given you are fully editable. They're all there as Word documents, so you can copy, edit, and paste them into your own school's template. So here's just an example of our yearly overview plan. And as I said, we have our dual language themes. So you'll see for September, for Unit 1, we have At Home or Sawalia. And then you have all the other aspects that you're going to cover for each of the fortnights there. So nice, clear yearly overview for you. And then to your month at a glance, and these are really handy for your Kuntas Misul at the end of each month. And again, you may not be able to make out, but I'll just look at fortnight 1 there. For the oral language strand, we're focusing on learning outcomes 1 and 5. For reading, we're focusing on learning outcomes 3 and 9, and for writing 6 and 9. So it's just 2 of them for each of the strands per fortnight. That's it. Which, as I said, will hopefully make your lives so much easier. And on your fortnightly plans, then there you have them, nice, clearly laid out for your strand, your elements, the learning outcome, and the descriptor for them. So in terms of what you should get done, and then the support for the learners, you have all your learning experiences. So you have a couple of columns on each of them there, really nice, detailed plans and fully editable for you. On to Aistear then for the infants. Again, really detailed, comprehensive plans done thematically each month. You'll see in the image on the left there, you've got a full page given over just a socio-dramatic play, just for that one strand, or for that one theme, I should say, accompanied by hundreds of principles here, covering all the aspects, all the areas in Aistear. So your socio-dramatic play, your small world, sensory play, your art area, your construction. So all these principles will hopefully save you an awful lot of time. They're focused, they're linked in directly with what you're teaching in that theme each month, and will hopefully save you time scouring through Twinkle or whatever other sites you go to get your principles. So it's all there on Gill Explorer for you. Then, as I mentioned already, we're the only scheme that provides you with full literacy station plans and principles, and these are all the way from infants to 6th class. You've got teaching notes for each fortnight to go with them, and all of the resources and activities are designed to target the focused learning outcome for that month. So again, another unique feature. And yet another, kind of probably boring all saying unique features, but there are a lot of them. A key feature, particularly if you are in a multi-grade school, are differentiation principles. So for each unit, you will have a modified worksheet for a less able child and an extension worksheet for a more able child. So for single stream schools, absolutely fine. You've got your middle ground work for the majority of children, and then you can support that with your modified or your extension sheets for your less or more able students. But also, if you are teaching in a multi-grade setting, you can use these. If you have, say, a 3rd, 4th class split, and you want to teach the 4th class program, you can use the modified worksheets for your 3rd class. Equally, if you want to teach the 3rd class program, you can use the extension worksheets for your 4th class. So it does tie in very neatly there with multi-grade schools, because I know we did get 1 or 2 questions before the webinar started. I'm sure some of you are probably asking during the webinar about it. So hopefully that will allow, there may be more detailed questions at the end, but I know that was an issue that it came up last year as well. So it's a key feature for Over the Moon. Then onto your planning and assessment. So for all of your assessment, you have your progression steps, assessment checklists, all your milestone rubrics are fully included. Your fortnightly and termly assessment is there for you, guided reading assessment, literacy station observation checklists, and as we said, all your planning material is available in Word as Word documents for you to copy, edit, and paste as you see fit. So we'll just take a moment to look at some of the digital resources. So there's 2 sites available to you. The first one, the one that I'm on here, it's gillexplorer.ie/over the moon. And this is our kind of our promotional website, which gives you an overall flavor of what's available in the scheme. But you should also be aware that we've made all of the resources open access until the end of June. So if you want to have a really detailed look at what's available for each class level, you can go to gillexplorer.ie/products, and then just select your class level, click on the Over the Moon book, and you'll have a drop-down menu with all of the resources available for each unit. So you can get a real fully in-depth look at exactly what the program contains. But for this one, I'm just on the Over the Moon promotional site. And we're just going to have a look at a couple of the different resources that we have here. So we'll start off with junior infants, and we'll go into our oral language poster. These are all completely free as well to adopting schools, just so we don't have a separate oral language program that you have to pay for, anything like that, completely free. So in your oral language poster here for junior infants, there's 2 different modes available. You've got the story mode, which we're on now, and then we have an explore mode, which we'll go on to now in a second. So we'll just play, hopefully you'll be able to pick it up. I might just increase my volume there. So hopefully you'll be able to hear this. I'll just play a quick snippet of it, the story mode.
Ella, Evan, Mom and Dad are in the kitchen. It is dinner time at the Moonies. Ella is busy setting the table. A knife and fork for me, a knife and fork for Ella. Mom is making spaghetti bolognese.
Okay, so that's your story mode, which just narrates the story for the children. And then you can go into the explore mode by clicking on the binoculars icon down the bottom left here. And in here, you're going to see all the comprehension activities. There's different games in here as well. So we'll go through the various resources that are available in the explore mode. So first of all, we can we'll work from left to right. So we have our binoculars. I'm not sure how clear this will be coming through at home, but all of the interactive elements are highlighted in yellow. So we can just click on various bits, click on the microwave. Hopefully that sound is coming through to you as well. So we have our microwave, we have, click on Ella. So Ella getting the table ready. And oh, there we go. And click on Mum, click on the spaghetti.
Oh no.
Oh no, poor Mum. Oh, what's happened there? So then we also have our zoom tools there, so you can zoom in as much as you want on these, and you can scroll across to highlight exactly, look at why is Dad on the phone, what have you. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. Other tools you have there, we'll start off with our spotlight tool. Again, so you can increase or decrease the size of that. You can see exactly what's going on. Why is the cat up at the window? He's trying to get in. What else? Something's gone wrong here. There's a mop and a bucket. Why is that? You've then got your bar, I suppose you call it. So you can just isolate various aspects. You just want to focus on the children. You know, what are the children doing? They're helping to set the table, what have you. And then we've also got our grid feature. And this is particularly good as a cross-curricular link in with maths for positional language, particularly for the younger kids. So to look at, you can just isolate any of the particular corners. So you can ask the children, what do we see in the top right? And you can talk about the various appliances and other bits and bobs that you see in the picture there. So again, a nice little cross-curricular link with that. Then you've got your general whiteboard tools. So you've got your markers, your pens, your colors, and the different colors and thicknesses there. And then for the infants, we have our I Spy game. Now this is for junior and senior infants. First and second class, this goes more into critical thinking questions. But for here, we have our I Spy, so just click on.
I spy with my little eye something that you eat. It is yellow, sweet, and soft on the inside.
Okay, so you have 10 I Spy questions then, which are just nice and child-friendly for the infants. After that, we have our comprehension questions then. So with the comprehension questions, questions 1 to 5 are your literal comprehension, questions 6 to 10 then are your inferential, so lower order and higher order thinking. So we can just ask one of the literal.
Say what each person is doing.
Okay, so that's what's on the page. And let's go for one of the inferential.
Who might Dad be talking to on the phone?
Okay, so again, higher order thinking skills for them there, developing those. So that's a quick flavor of what's in the oral language posters for infants to second class. Then other aspects, other elements that you have there. If you go into the products page, as I said, you'll get the full flavor of exactly what's there, but this is just some samples. So you've got your ebook version of the skills book. You got some sample material from the teacher's handbook. You have, let me scroll down, your genre story ebook. You have one of those per month. You've got your letter formation animations. You've got your interactive nursery rhymes or poems as you move up. You have some phonics games there as well. They're all interactive so the children can come up to the board. You've ebook versions of your recommended readers there, fiction and non-fiction. You have your Aistear resources, all the printables for those, the literacy station resources, printables to go along with those, differentiated activities, all your assessment material there as well, and your editable plans. As I say, that's just a flavor of what's available. There's so much more in the full program, but there's a lot there, I'm sure you can see. So if we go back up, I'm just going to have a look at the 4th class, as we had a look there at Laney. If you remember, we were talking about Charlotte's Web and the extract that we had there. Again, the digital resources you have for the senior classes, you have your ebook version of the skills book, your ebook version of the reader, you have their literacy portfolio online, their assessment material online there. as well as all your differentiated printables, your literacy station, more assessment, and all your planning material there as well. So again, there's an awful lot there for you. So we'll just click into the video for the oral language text type. So it was a persuasive text that we were reading. So now we're just going into the oral language version, which is your arguments and informal debate. So there's a huge amount in this for you. You could spend an awful lot of time going through it, going into real depth, into real detail here as well. So we'll fly through some of these. So we have the questions at the start. What is a debate? When might we have a debate? Where would a debate take place? Who would have a debate? What might you have? Why might you have a debate? Sorry, and what do you need to carry out a debate? So you've got those 6 questions at the start, and they're all answered in the next one. So again, for modelling, for shared learning with the class, here we go. What's a debate? Why? When might we have a debate? And so on. So all those questions are answered. Then we have examples of the different types of debates. So we have a formal debate versus an informal debate. We follow that up with some images. And again, to get the class talking, which of these are formal or informal? So you can click on any of the images here. Is that a formal or an informal debate? Going back to our definitions. And then how about this one here? So just to show the difference of what's available. And then we have our oral language video itself. So as I said, there's various different types of media that we've used here. This is a real life video that we're using with a 4th class group. We also have animations, PowerPoints, you name it, but they're all done using children of the class level. So nice peer-to-peer tuition. We'll just click into this and listen to Lainey arguing her case for a couple of minutes.
I agree that everyone should be vegetarian. In fact, being a vegetarian can also help the environment. Cows produce a lot of methane and waste. They also require a lot of water and land to live. All of this leaves a large carbon footprint. This would be hugely reduced if people chose to have a meat-free diet.
Okay, so that video goes on for a couple of minutes, and it's the argument about whether you should be vegetarian or not. And she constantly references Charlotte's Web. So they've read Charlotte's Web. She's now talking about it and is engaged in the debate. So then you have the questions following it. So what's the debate topic? Everyone should be a vegetarian. Which book is mentioned in the argument? And it's Charlotte's Web, and so on. So you can click on each of those. After that, then we have more questions. So what kind of sentence starters did the speaker use? What have you? Which view would you take and why? So again, to get the children thinking and talking themselves. What might people do after listening to this type of argument? So on. More questions about describing her body language, her facial expressions, what have you, again, just to make sure the children were paying attention, I suppose. And then you have your various different prompts for your debate situations. So what can we start our sentences with? I think, I don't think. And then I have mixed feelings about, and then going into stronger language that I strongly believe that, it's widely believed that. So again, helping to develop their oral language skills, really bedding in that genre. And then a lovely little feature of this is that we have 6 different scenarios. So particularly in the classroom, if you have a class of 24 children, say, you can split them into 6 groups of 4 and have 2 of them argue for a scenario and 2 of them argue against it. You can click on each of these. Sorry, it should be the next button here. There we go. These are just some prompts. Again, it's to get them engaged. It's a nice, fun, engaging way of learning and bedding in the learning, the scaffolding, everything that they're doing. I'll just pick one. You may not be able to treat them at home. I'll go for the bottom one here. What's your opinion on the following statement? Teachers should be replaced by computers. There we go. 2 of them arguing for it, 2 of them arguing against it. So really engaging for the children, and the kids would love doing that. After that, then you have your self-assessment questions at the end, and it links them back in to the skills book as well. So they know that there's work in the skills book that links back in with the oral language text type video, and that links in with your reader and with your genre writing. So fully integrated across the entire program. So we're nearly done now. So just to recap on the key features of Over the Moon. As I said, it's the only scheme on the market that has a fully integrated approach. We're the only scheme that uses the 5 components of effective oral language communication. We take the 7-step approach to the writing genre. You've seen the wealth of Aistear resources and dual Irish language themes going through the entire program. All of our comprehension strategies are taken from Building Bridges. We develop critical thinking skills and encourage book talk with the children through the use of picture books. And we're fully mapped to the primary language curriculum with all of your planning and assessment. And finally, all of the digital resources that you've seen there are completely free of charge to adopting schools. That sounds pretty good, I think. So what constitutes an adoption? It's very, very simple. If you put the skills book on your book list, so a class adoption of the skills book entitles you to all of the phenomenal, fantastic over the moon resources, completely free, which will save your school thousands of euro in recurring annual subscription costs. And that is me done, Colin. So unless there's any questions, I'm going to hand back to Colin.
That's great, David. Thanks very much. And we'll also be joined by Maureen now as well, which would be great. So we'll just wait for Maureen. Hi, Maureen. Thanks very much for joining us. Dave, thanks very much. Absolutely brilliant presentation. As I've said to you, for yourself and Maureen, I've been monitoring the questions coming in over the last 35 minutes or so. And actually, there's been quite a few questions coming in, and I've tried to, a lot I could group together because they're quite similar in nature. So I'll pose, and as I said at the beginning, we will try to answer every question. We will answer every question. We may not get to them all tonight, but our reps will certainly, because some of them are quite specific about things like a unit in a book or whatever. So we'll get to those and we'll make sure that all those questions are answered. I'll start with the first one. I hope I can read my own writing here. Is how do I use the picture books? Now, Maureen, this is certainly one for you, I suspect.
Oh, definitely. I'm such a picture book lover, as you can see in the background, pretty picture books. But picture books are just a fantastic resource to have in your classroom to teach reading, writing and oral language effectively. And we have chosen picture books that have won many prestigious awards. So for example, this picture book, Jumanji, is for 5th class and it's won the Cotton Medal Award. And Chris Van Allensburg is also the author of the Polar Express. So in how to teach a picture book, I could get a week's content in teaching this. So for example, on a Wednesday, I might do a writing lesson and my learning outcome may be identify and critically evaluate and analyse the verbs that Chris Van Allensburg has used in his text. So you would give the text to the children and ask them to underline and highlight any verbs that they found and compile a list. And then you would ask the children, well, what do you notice about the verbs he used? So he's renowned for using very strong verbs in his writing. And then you can ask the children, well, what weak verbs would he have used instead? So he used bolted. What could it be used for a weak verb? Ran. So by doing these lessons, then when the children go to do their own writing, there's an expectation that they're going to use strong verbs in their own writing, so that the children are learning in context rather than in isolation. So you will find in the teacher resource book, as David explained earlier, fabulous comprehensive notes on the picture books. So it explicitly tells you what to say and questions to ask, and it reflects the primary language toolkit and the book talk and critical thinking. So you will find so many wonderful ideas in here. But the children will love listening to the stories that we've selected, and they captivate their attention really well.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Maureen. So some of the questions I can take as well. So there's a sales question, and actually this you touched on this, David, and you drove this home in the very last slide. But there's quite a few people asking, is there a subscription fee for the digital resources? And as David said, there is no subscription fee. Basically, if you adopt the series in your school, in your classroom, if the pupils are buying the skills book, that entitles you to all of the free material, all of the resources. So again, if you're going that route and you're adopting Over the Moon, which I'm sure you're probably looking at now after tonight's presentation, contact your local rep. They'll make sure they cover all of that for you. They'll make sure that you get all your free resources. We set you up on Gill Explorer, that you have everything for you when you start off in September. So there is no subscription fees. All of this and the picture books, a beautiful set of picture books for new adopting schools as well. So all of that comes free. That's quite a commonly asked question throughout the course of the presentation. So just to reiterate that for everybody. One of the questions again is asked quite often is, do we need the readers, David, at the junior and senior infants, the recommended readers?
Recommended readers. Well, short answer is no, you don't. There's no work in the skills book that references them or links back to them. However, we do recommend that schools do get them, because they tick a lot of boxes. Basically, well, first of all, they follow the theme, the general theme you're covering for that month. the Aistear theme that's been covered that month. They're character-driven fiction and non-fiction. So even the non-fiction is character-driven. It gives some familiarity for the children, introducing the various characters to them. But they also follow the flow of Jollyphonics. So as the various tricky words are being taught, they're taught a month in advance. So when the children come to the next month's reader, they have the vocab. So to give them that sense of achievement, and they're really nicely structured, following the flow of Jollyphonics and following the themes for each month. So they do tick a lot of boxes, but they don't have to get them, but they're well worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. We see more schools than not using the recommended readers anyway, and they have done certainly. This is I don't know who, I'm going to probably point to Maureen for this one. Multi-grade classrooms, and this is a tricky one because some people have 3 classes, some people have 2 classes, but they want to know, is it suitable for multi-grade classrooms, Maureen?
Oh, definitely. We were very conscious and supportive of multi-classroom situations from the very initial stages of the planning process. And actually, one of the authors, Carl, who authored the first class program, she works in a multi-class school herself. So she brought a lot to the table in terms of her experience and ideas of how we could facilitate our program to suit multi-grade situations. So what we've actually done is we've compiled a document that has lots of ideas and strategies on how you can implement Over the Moon program into your multi-grade classroom situation. And this document is actually available from your sales rep. So if you'd like to get in contact with them, they would happily send it on to you. But just, you know, simple ideas of teaching the same genre at the same time, or one class level could be working on the literacy stations independently while the other class level have moved on to a new reader. And as David touched upon in his presentation about the variety of differentiation materials that are available on Over the Moon, so it allows the teacher to differentiate up or to differentiate down. So it's definitely suitable.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thanks very much, Maureen. Yeah, so if you do want to see that, if you're teaching in a multi-grade classroom and you want to see that document, by all means contact your local rep and they'll be more than happy to supply you with that document, as Maureen says. There's a sales question here because a lot of people are asking. We obviously, for obvious reasons, our sales team can't go into your schools at the moment. So we have been sending out samples to schools. We have had requests for presentations, and our reps are lined up to do Zoom presentations or Microsoft Teams or whatever you use in your school if you want to do a presentation to the rest of the staff or your principal. But by all means, give your local rep a call. They're available to talk to you. They're available to drop in samples into the school. They follow all the safe guidelines. So by all means, pick up the phone, call your rep. If you need them to do an online presentation, more than happy to do so. They're all geared up and they have their presentations ready to go. Another big question actually is, and it's quite common, is how is genre being taught through using Over the Moon? I don't know who wants to take that.
Yeah, I'll take that question. So genre is actually introduced in the reader on the very first page of the text. So for example, here I've a 5th class text and it's an explanation text on volcanoes. So it introduces the children straight away to an explanation text of what they can expect in the reader and features that they need to be on the lookout for. And then in the teacher resource book, there is a fantastic section on the 7-step process that has been recommended by the PDST and the first steps writing, where there is familiarization, analyzing the text, modeling the text, and shared and guided reading. So there are samples of writing that you can write up on the board for the children to see. So I would definitely make reference to the teaching resource book for that.
Okay, brilliant. Guys, I'm very, very conscious of time. I'm very conscious that a lot of people, and we are overwhelmed, by the way, the amount of people who have joined us this evening. It's incredible for you to take the time. And we know you guys are busy and it's a very stressful time of the year. You're trying to get things sorted and other stuff going on out there in the world. And to see so many people join us this evening is really heartwarming. So thank you so much on behalf again of everybody at Gill. It's been absolutely fantastic. Again, as I say, if your question hasn't been answered here, do not worry. We will get our reps to contact you and they'll take your question individually and answer that question for you. So we'll be sending you a link to all of you with this presentation on it, and it'll also have a link to your local reps details as well, and we'll get that out to you over the next couple of days. And on that, we will also have the name the winners of the 5 spot prizes. Almost everyone stayed to the end, which is fantastic. So we really do appreciate everyone, as I say, taking the time to join us. So on behalf of everybody here at Gill, myself, David, Maureen, and everybody else here, we'd like to thank you again. We really hope that you have a safe completion of your term, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you all in your schools in September. Fingers crossed. So good night, and thanks for everyone here at Gill. Good night.
Thanks, guys. Night.
Good night. Thank you.